We're back. So, we'll give some folks some time to get on. I know it seems like I'm going live a little bit more as of late, right? And I am. But we got some stuff to talk about, so I figure why not come on here and drop a little something. We'll give everyone some time to come in. No rush. As you can see, I'm in the massage chair here at Planet Fitness, so I'm not really worried about it. You guys take all the time you need. Man, this chair massage is pretty good. Ooh, ooh wee. This feels pretty good. Oh, yo, what's up, guys? What's going down? Yeah, yeah, it does feel good. The chair. I'm like, oh, this is nice. Planet Fitness is ridiculous, though. They only give you like 10 minutes in the chair, man. Whatever. I'm gonna sit here and do my live, so I can get some peace and quiet. What's up? What's up, Kita? What's going on? You got everyone coming up in here. Oh, stop. Oh, what is it? Ozempic? No, I'm not on any. Hey, look, believe it or not, I'm all natural. Real talk. But see, you know what? For me, if you guys could see what my dad looked like in his prime, you get it. Like my dad, man, was yoked. Like he was probably in his prime about a good 240, 250, a straight like muscle. And it's funny. I used to be bone skinny. Like, um, and I would always complain to my dad and be like, "Man, I'm never gonna gain weight." And he'd be like, "Dude, you're gonna gain weight. You're my son. Just give it time. You got a fast metabolism." And I remember he used to take me to the gym with him, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I would watch him. And as I got older, man, I just stuck with it, and yeah, put the muscle on.
All right, John, I'm done with the brake lines. What are you making out there?
I see we got some trolls in here already. You know what's interesting about the trolls? I want to give you guys a huge shout out, right? For all the trolls on the channel that have something negative to say. You know what's funny? My videos are live, so that means in order for you to be on here trolling when I'm going live, you're subscribed to me, aren't you? Oh, I know. I know. It's all good. You guys can't wait for me to come on live so you can get on here and follow and, make your little stupid comments. It's cute. We love you guys too. What's up, guys? So, what's up, Paul? We're gonna touch on XRP not being a world reserve currency. Oh my God, I can't believe T just said that. What? That's blasphemy, right? Oh yeah, they hit the bell. Yeah, they love me, man. Look, let me tell you something about trolls, all right? Don't get it twisted. All when you see stuff like that, man, it's really jealousy, confused admiration, and envy, all rolled into one, right? That's all it is, man. That's why I ignore about a good 90% of it because I know where it comes from. If I don't like somebody, I'm not gonna follow you, man. I care less what you're doing, right? Yeah, yeah. The lighting's a little bit weird on this phone though. Like when I'm outside, like I don't know, it's weird, and I think I did something in the settings So I gotta fix it. But it's definitely taking me some getting used to this S24 Ultra. Yeah, I'm not worried about any of that. So there was a and the reason I'm doing this video is because you guys are probably going to see it floating around. It was on one of the news channels, and it was a politician. I can't remember his name, but he made a comment. He stood up. This guy, man. Oh Lord, I can't remember his name, but he basically was like, crypto has declared that it's going to become. Really, my massage is over? Dang, that sucks. Crypto is going to become a world reserve currency, and it's going to displace the U.S. dollar and sovereign currencies. They're all, that's their goal, for all of them to do that. Now, there's been a narrative that's been going around regarding XRP. Let me check my battery life real quick. Yeah, I'm good. I'm not used to that, by the way. Yeah, I do have better signal, right? But there's been a narrative going around that was started by Ripple regarding XRP being a world reserve currency, right? It was years and years ago. They had said that in some of their marketing campaigns, right? And so people ran with it. They looked at what the United States dollar was, and they, started telling themselves that XRP would single-handedly replace the United States dollar as the world reserve currency. All right. Now, let me get comfy. There we go. Is that totally unfounded? Well, I can see why people would think that, right? Let me look at these comments. Oh, Moises, you see that? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's an interesting question. Are you of Ethiopian descent? It's funny you asked that, right? Yeah. Actually, believe it or not, folks, and I'll post it, right? My heritage results. I don't have the full breakdown, but just real quick to get off topic, to give you what my results were, is pretty much 70% various regions of Africa, and then 30% other stuff. Italian, Spanish, French, Greek, or no, Italian, Spanish, French, Indian, right? I was like, whoa, India was in there, France, and some other stuff, right? But what was really cool about the African was, and this ties into another story I'm going to tell too, real quick. I'll make it quick, I promise, guys. We'll stay on crypto topic, all right? So just bear with me. But I wanted to answer this for the Stoic Swarthy. I thought that was strange that you asked me that, because for my African percentages, now I did Ancestry and my heritage. I had Nigerian, and I was always, told, like, if you have roots in, like, the Caribbean, even the United States, and you're of the African diaspora, that you're just going to be pretty much Nigerian or West African. So when I did mine, that's what I was expecting, and I saw that, but I saw Mali on my Ancestry, which was actually way higher, or 10% higher than my Nigerian. Then I started researching Mali and some of the ethnic groups, and I learned that a lot of the inhabitants in Mali migrated from northern Africa, and even some were nomads that came from Eastern Africa. Now, I thought that was interesting because I didn't see any Eastern African on my Ancestry DNA. So me and my grandmother did my heritage, and lo and behold, I was like, it had Kenya, Sudan, and Ethiopia circled for my ethnicity breakdown. And I was like 13, 14% Kenyan. I had like 4 or 5% Northern African, which was like Morocco, Egypt, and something else. Yeah, I'll post it in the communities tab. India was on there, and then Spain and Italy, etc. The France and French ancestry showed on my Ancestry, but on this one, on my heritage, it didn't show. So you guys will see the results, but I thought that was really cool that you said that, because it looks like I got some significant, if you combined the Eastern African, not just the Kenyan, but the Sudanese, the Ethiopian, the Kenyan, and the Northern African, that it rivals the Nigerian that I have, which was just really interesting. So most people of African descent who were a part of the transatlantic slave trade, almost probably all of their ancestry is going to be from Western Africa, right? Typically. My theory is that the reason why I probably have Northern and Eastern African significant percentages from there is because of having lineage to Latin America, right? Being, having family in Puerto Rico, etc. The first black person who stepped foot in Puerto Rico was actually a Moor. And Moors often come from North Africa and Eastern Africa, as well as Arab nations as well. In that time frame, they did. So it could be a situation where maybe there was some mix or something like that, and I have ancestors that were in that area that were from this part of Africa and then that part of Africa, right? I don't know. But I want to ask you, the Stoic Shwadi said you can pass for Eritrean, Ethiopian easy. It's weird. I actually, what made you say that? Because I get asked that a lot. Fun story, real quick, and then we're going to get back into XRP. Trust me, I'm not going to leave you guys hanging. I went to DC when I worked for Social Security Administration. I was a senior sysadmin there, and there was a cafeteria in the HOSA building, hearing office sysadmin, where we did our training. And I went in there, and there's a light-skinned woman working the counter, and she's ringing my food, and I'm like, I consider myself dark-skinned, right? Like, I know I get it. I'm not like the color of my hat, but I'm dark, right? I'm not light. So I don't expect people to look at me and think anything outside of, it's just a black dude, right? Which is fine with me, because that's what I am. But obviously I got some other stuff floating around in there, as we all do. We're all mutts, right? But what was cool was the lady looks up at me and she says, "Where are you from?" And I said, "Where am I from?" I was like, "What do you mean, where am I from?" And she was like, "Where are you from?" And I said, "I'm from the States." And she's like, no. She said, "Where are your family from?" And so I kind of gave her a rundown and said, "Well, we have family here, here, and here." She said, "You sure?" And this was before I did a DNA test. And I said, "Well, why do you say that?" And she was like, "You look like us." And I said, "Well, what is us?" And she said, "I'm from Eritrea." And I wasn't really familiar with Eritrea. I had heard of Ethiopia. But I said, "Where's that?" And she said, "Oh, we're next to Ethiopia." And I said, "Okay." And I really didn't think anything of it, right? Like, I was like, all right, I wonder why she said that. And I was like, do I look like them? Like, I don't know. I never looked in the mirror at myself and thought I look like an Ethiopian. But I do have a big ass forehead, right? And I think, and people would, I've heard that before, like, your forehead's big. Are you Ethiopian? Like, what? Like, I don't know. I didn't know that was a prerequisite to being Ethiopian, but okay. But yeah, he said you have East African features. The forehead seals the deal, bro. Yeah, I do have a big forehead, right? But I've heard that before, that my feet, not just me, my family in general, we're a pretty unique looking family. We got some, I guess, some unique features, guys. I don't know, right? Like, there's probably even more to us that we don't know. But the DNA stuff was pretty cool. I just figured I'd tell that quick story. T's genealogy spot. So yeah, right. XRP. Let's talk about it. Will it be a world reserve currency, and will it replace the U.S. dollar as a non-sovereign currency? The answer to that, in my humble opinion, right now, look, I could be wrong. I know that people are probably going to curse me out in my DMs. I'm probably going to get a lot of unpleasant comments, etc. But I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I don't think that ever happens, right? I see the narrative with BRICS, de-dollarizing the USA, the whole nine, right? I've touched on Jim O'Neill and Goldman Sachs essentially having a hand in the creation of BRICS and investing in it. So to me, I feel like the de-dollarization narrative is BS, right? I think it's happening, but I think it's orchestrated. I don't think it's something that is just coming by surprise and the U.S. isn't prepared for it or they didn't know about it, right? You got to ask yourself this. This goes right back to the Ripple stablecoin move. You really think Ripple Labs is going to release a stablecoin, which we just saw some paperwork on that, didn't we, guys? On RLUSD going up for approval. So you really think they're going to do that and create something that's USD backed like that on the XRP ledger and Ethereum's network, and the dollar's just going to go kaput? Who really believes that? And then they're going to usher in XRP as a world reserve currency. See, this is what I think people are trying to say, right? I don't think digital assets will replace, or crypto utility assets will replace sovereign currencies as world reserve currencies, right? Like I said, I've heard that narrative for a long time and I've never really bought into it. Now, what I do think is that XRP will have reserve like qualities in terms of correspondent institutions and banks and other organizations that hold it, right? So if you look at the world reserve currency structure regarding Nostro, you have these accounts where they're holding foreign fiat currencies in them. The US dollar is obviously serving the role as the world reserve, so it's going to be the one that's used regarding the highest volume for cross-border transactions and remittances for your top correspondent banks like your JP Morgans, etc., right? And I think JP Morgan sits at the top of that hierarchy regarding CBPs. But with that being said, remember back to when I had this discussion about what it would look like regarding XRP serving as some sort of potential Nostro account replacement, right? And I stated, yeah, you would probably see a scenario where there'd be sidechain interop, there'd be private ledgers. You maybe have the mainnet where, things are transmitted publicly, maybe some batch processing, payment channel type stuff. Shout out to Baggins, that's his favorite subject, or one of them. We've had extensive conversations about that, and then, obviously, it would require you to hold some XRP in reserves depending on how often you're facilitating those transactions. If it's a constant thing, I don't really think the ODL model is going to cut it at that point if you're either replacing or integrating digital assets into the correspondent system. So what my theorization is that you'd likely see a scenario where you're holding what? Two different types of reserve pools, right? One pool, theoretically, you'd be holding your own fiat currency, your native currency, right, for your nation. And then in the other pool, you'd have, or maybe multiple pools, you'd have digital assets, right, to transmit that value between those institutions. Now, with that being said, I'm getting real comfortable here. Does that make XRP a world reserve currency in terms of how the US dollar is? Well, it depends on how you want to look at it, right? It would be different, in my opinion, if fiat currencies like stable coins and CBDCs weren't going to be a thing and they just went away. And then XRP was legal tender, right? See, that's the thing, right? You'd have to see a scenario where they deemed it legal tender and banks didn't hold any fiat, right? Like these institutions and central banks didn't have a corresponding CBDC to their nation. They didn't have stable coins correspondent to their nations, right? It was just XRP, and nations that wanted to hold it, they'd hold it, and then nations that wanted to hold fiat, they'd hold fiat, right? You're not going to see that, right? You're not going to see countries completely abandon fiat in any form and just use XRP. So, in my humble opinion, it will have reserve-like qualities to it in terms of how it's stored. But Baggins, shout out to him, he brought up a really good point today in a conversation. I'm so happy to see him back on Twitter. God. Okay, because we definitely need more sensible heads in the space. And you know, I know some folks don't like him, but he's my friend. Okay, and I don't care if people don't like him or think he's a know-it-all because he knows what he knows. All right, and I'm not just being biased because we're techies. I consider him a friend just like I consider Kurt a friend. I consider him bros. You know, and I think that in a space like this where people get real cockamamie, and you know what I'm talking about, it's always good to have an unbiased, level headed perspective on where we're going to potentially head, right? And he said, and he made a really good comment because I had made a comment, um, and I stated, you know, folks have to start looking at this in a different manner. And you, the best case scenario for XRP would be that correspondent banks essentially integrated, and it doesn't become a world reserve currency, but they store it in reserve like accounts, right, to facilitate foreign exchange type utility. And then that would ultimately lead to what we were talking about regarding the reduction in circulating supply on the open market. It doesn't mean it won't be bought and sold, but it means that if you see that type of a situation where it's integrated into the correspondent model, then these folks are going to start holding it, right? Obviously, there will be some utility and you know some desired transactions where it's traded and sold as well and purchased, but you're going to see a lot of the top correspondent banks that conduct FX holding pools of the asset, right? Baggins brought up a really good point. He said folks have to stop thinking about this in terms of a reserve currency and start thinking of XRP as reserve liquidity. All right. I'm going to say that again. Shout out to Baggins for saying this. All right. And this is one of the main reasons I'm doing this live. Folks have to stop thinking about XRP as a world reserve currency and start thinking of it as reserve liquidity. All right. Now let's take a look at these comments. Said you too, Jack, for Planet Fitness. They're gonna kick you out. Hey man, look, hey, I can get gains anywhere, man. It's convenient. I don't live too far from it.
So Tony, thank you so much for bringing this back to me. No problem, man.
Access, saludos. Dios te bendiga, hermano. Igual. And let's see who else we got. When do you think crypto market will skyrocket after they get done with legislation, regs, and classification for digital assets and the lawsuits resolved? Let me actually say my quote because I say it all the time. We need lawsuit resolution, regulatory clarity, legislation, and classification for digital assets, right? That's what we need.
Oh, like to start it.
Do you think institutions will hold XRP on the AMM? Absolutely. If they're smart, they would. I would. If I were an institution, they're less vulnerable to impermanent loss, and they could take larger hits versus someone that's retail throwing XRP into a pool. And they're going to be incentivized for it. And they can. You got to think they have a lot of money to afford them the opportunity to purchase larger amounts. So they're going to reap greater rewards regarding the arbitrage, those fees that are associated with it that get paid out to the contributors, right? Yeah, once everything's said and done, I could definitely see an environment where they hop in and they benefit from that.
Engineered for the spontaneous. The dual action formula, the active ingredients of Viagra and Cialis. Faster acting and long lasting. Grab the moment. Get started at
So I'm part Puerto Rican, I have a small percent of West African and North African. Cool beans. Think this is, man, I need glasses. This is one of only a few people that are giving us the truth to the best of his knowledge. You goofies that are bringing up etc. to him, please go to the BS channels. Thanks. Please don't let this go over your head. We appreciate you, T. Thank you. He said, "Yeah, you do have East African people." I guess. I mean, I can see why people say that. When I'm in Seattle, I always get asked by the taxi drivers, brother, you one of us? You Habish or Habisha? They say. I'm like, what? What is that? I don't know. Maybe I am, or have it in me. Will XRP be in the background orchestrating the reserve currency? I mean, that's probably going to be the end goal, right? If it's a back end institutional grade type asset, then yeah, you'd likely see it as somehow having a role in facilitating derivative swaps potentially. But that's the thing, right? It wouldn't just be XRP for stuff like that. You'd likely have to have a conglomerate of different assets working together to make that stuff happen, right? So it wouldn't just be one. And so I try to get people out of that tribalistic mindset of thinking, oh, well, cross-border payments, can just be done with this one asset. Well, you need a smart contract attached to that corresponding value that you're going to move. How do you do that? Does XRP have smart contracts native to its protocol? No, it doesn't. So that means something else is going to have to come into play to perform smart contract application, right, etc. Same thing with any other form of utility. You're likely going to see. I mean, not saying it can't do stuff on its own, but what I'm saying is for certain things, you're going to probably see multiple protocols working together for that. Oh yeah, of course. I don't own any of that stuff. World reserve currency will use XRP as collateral. I like that. XRP and the Iraqi money system, don't know enough about it. Crypto 901 follows the happenings in Iraq heavily, so he would be the guy, anything Iraq related, to ask about that. Will crypto bros get on Twitter Spaces? It's always a nut dragging contest. I mean, so if no de-dollarization, you believe in a coming reevaluation of our currencies? Yep, I sure do. I mean, you have to understand why we went off of the gold standard in the first place. It wasn't because it didn't work. It's because you couldn't be nefarious and artificially inflating the economy and manipulating currencies if you're backed by gold, right? That makes it a lot harder to do stuff like that. So that's one of the reasons why you you don't see that anymore, right? This is why hyperinflation's a thing. This is why they're able to manipulate multiple markets like that, because the dollar's not really. I mean, the petrodollar is essentially that agreement is what gave the dollar a lot of its value, and if that goes out of the window, but like I said, even if it does, it's orchestrated. Don't think the U.S. doesn't have a hand in it. Is what I'm getting at, right? Can you see two-digit XDC? Listen, let me tell you something. All right, I'm going to offer a disclaimer here before I say this. The price points in my mind that I have long term, and I've said this before, like a decade out plus, are absolutely retarded. They're asinine, and they don't even sound believable. To the point I don't even repeat them anymore. Now, with that being said, why do I have those type of price targets long term for these assets? Because I believe that with the problems that they're able to solve and the improvements that they may offer to the current financial system. Oh, we got a visitor. That you would see an increased demand, decreased supply, and significant institutional acquisition of the asset, right? So when you hear folks saying, "Oh, I can see XRP getting to a six-digit number," you need to be asking them how. How does it get to a six-digit number? How does it get to a five-digit number, four, three, etc.? Does it just happen from a speculative environment, or does it need a series of things to happen in order for this to be actualized? And a lot of folks will simply tell you, well, institutions will start using it, and that's what's going to drive up the price, the trading volume, right? But with something that's got a high circulating supply and a high market cap attached to it regarding a crypto token, you're going to need a little bit more than just trading volume. This is where the store of value narrative comes into play. And a store of value narrative that's attached to a token usually allows it to appreciate significantly when you see an environment where the supply is low and the capital inflows are high and the acquisition and holding outweighs the selling pressure. So, do I think that the X assets and some of the other utility based cryptos, do I think they have that capability to make it there? Yes, I do. So that's where my theorizations on price come into play. Am I saying definitively that I know everything and that's exactly what's going to happen? I'm not saying that, but I'm telling you from my perspective, I wouldn't. I, I'm hedging my bets that it does, right? And that's not official financial advice, as you guys know. I am not an official financial advisor. This is simply my perspective. You can take it and pair it with yours if you choose to do so. This is simply my perspective only. Make sure that you're doing your due diligence and research and make sure that you understand the risks associated with jumping into the crypto market. But now that we have that out of the way, that's where my confidence in the investments come into play that we may or may not hold, right? Because we can't confirm or deny we hold any crypto in this room. But with that being said, that's what you need to see. That's what you need to be focused on. Stop focusing on price and start focusing on solutions, decentralized applications, cross-chain interoperability, CCIP interfaces attached to ecosystems to allow them to effectively communicate with blockchains and DLTs of their choice. You see where I'm going with this? Protocols that may not have native smart contract functionality, having sidechain interoperability built in via virtual machines, i.e., the EVM interop with the XRP ledger, stuff like that. That's what you need to be focused on. Price theorizations don't really mean anything outside of you knowing what you need to know and doing your due diligence and research, and then having the confidence to tell yourself that something will eventually appreciate that you're invested into. But in order to give yourself that confidence, you need to be looking at the bigger picture as to how these protocols are going to benefit and be integrated potentially into the legacy system without circumventing or replacing it, because that will never happen. All right. And I've said that before, and people will call me crazy when I stated that the correspondent system won't go away, it'll evolve. Swift isn't going to go away, it's going to evolve, and it's going to incorporate this stuff. T, you don't know what you're talking about. Oh, T, where did you get that from? And then what happened on Cybos when Swift started coming out and talking about CCIP and integrating blockchain technology and distributed ledger technology into their fold, right? Told you, I hate to be that guy, but this is stuff that we were talking about for a long time. Swift and these conglomerates are too powerful to just go away, right? So that's never going to happen. Give me a sec, folks. Get out of this chair because somebody may want to use it. I don't want to hog the chair. Let's take a look at these comments. In terms of time, well, I mean, folks, look, all right, I don't really know how much time it's going to take, but what I do know is that there's certain things that are a prerequisite prior to seeing that type of significant price action that you want, right? Like I said, man, you gotta look. All right, let me tell you something real quick. Stop focusing on time Okay, you're gonna look. You keep doing that, and you keep asking yourself when. It's gonna feel like you're never gonna get there, right? You gotta ask. Look, man, experienced investors, and this is no. Scoot up a little closer so I can put my foot up. Experienced investors don't do that, man. Right? They don't. They're not gonna sit there and clock watch an investment, right? When people were putting money into the Amazons, the Teslas, the Googles, the Microsofts, do you think they did that? No, they didn't do that. They had confidence in what they were invested in. They viewed it as planting seeds essentially. They planted those seeds and then they grew, right? They watered them and then they grew. That whole how much time do we have? Is it gonna take 5 years? Is it gonna take 10 years? I guarantee you have never seen an advanced level investor ask those type of questions. Maybe to themselves occasionally, but they usually have long-term targets, right? And that's for a reason. Oh, Jake? Yeah, well, as far as doing lives with folks, I mean, I don't know, right? Like like I said, I'm only doing this because there's more stuff coming out. Politicians are getting involved. It's getting crazy, right? You're starting to see legislation go through, and it's happening fast. And a lot of stuff is being said out there, like the whole crypto's a threat because it's going to become a world reserve, and displace sovereign currencies, and that's ultimately the goal. That's the crypto goal. That's what the crypto is saying. I didn't know crypto could talk, right? Maybe he should have elaborated a little bit on that statement, the politician. Give me a sec. So you're a star in the making? I don't want to be a star. When the time comes, and I'm not even, look guys, I'm not even waiting for XRP to go bananas. I'm waiting for it to just pass its previous all-time high. This channel will go away. I'm done. You won't see this. You won't be able to find this channel anymore. The videos will be gone, the whole nine. I'm just going to delete it because my job will be done at that point. I'm not here to be a star. That's not my goal, folks. Nope. What is a hang push-up? Well, you guys want to see me bust push-ups out? Is that what you're saying? Because I can. And do push-ups like it's nothing. Ugh. Oh, look at her. Just chilling. I need to wash her. She's a little dusty. My day was good. There's that weird yellow tint on my face again. I don't know, man. The lighting, this phone, I love it, but it gets weird, man, when I'm outside. There's that yellow tint on my face, man. I'm like, Jesus, man. You come back inside. It's cold out here. Here you go. There we go. That's better. That's better lighting. Yeah, it rains a lot out here. Look at these comments real quick. Oh, man. Yeah, that's the lighting I'm looking for. There we go. Need more iron, bro, because we live in Washington. Yeah, you know how it is out here. I love XDC. Those are my thoughts on it. Hurricanes, no. We've got some hurricane-like weather before, but no, we don't get hurricanes out here. So yeah, those are this one ain't gonna be too long today. Earthquakes. You get some earthquakes. Will I be selling any utility tokens? Well, if I hypothetically held any, it would depend on what happened in the cycle, right? You know, my goal has always been, I'm going to be 100% honest, my hypothetical goal, if I held tokens, would be to leverage them, right? You don't, like I talked about this in yesterday's video about leveraging your wealth, even leveraging debt, right? Because the rich do that. And diversifying and having maybe only a few million liquid, right? You don't need, you know, you take what you're going to take out to bless people. Maybe, you know, like I said, if it's a big liquidity event, take out 5, 10 million, something like that. Pay your debts off. Diversify into some properties. Not official financial advice, of course, but this is just my personal perspective, what I'd be doing. But go watch the video, man. I touched on that. What the hell is all over my hat now? Man, see, I come in here in this damn gym and Jesus Christ. Whatever, I'll clean it when I get home. DT, you live in Tacoma? Okay, that's close. I get Tacoma like that. So, yeah, we can hit the gym together. Sure thing. Just hit me up on the DMs, either in Facebook or on Twitter. And we'll set something up, man. Maybe even get a live going while we're doing our workout. Record the session. Yes, guys, I hypothetically would hold all of my stuff on cold storage, right? There's no way I'd be keeping my stuff on an exchange, man. No way. Said, make them grind. I don't know if it'll replace Tether. But there sure does seem to be a weird narrative regarding USD Tether. I don't think so, because Tether is what's used to prop up Bitcoin's value, in my humble opinion. So I don't see it going away. You know, is there some corruption associated with the token? Yeah, but institutions are going to win every time. You know. Was I shocked that Ryan Garcia beat up Devin Haney? Yes and no. If you know their history, you know that they fought each other in the amateurs like 6 times. They're 3-3. I knew in the back of my mind that Ryan had the capabilities to knock him out. He has an awkward style. He's fast. He's super. I mean, super quick, and he hits hard. And his combos are hard to time because he gets you kind of used to the left hand, and then he starts shooting the right, and it catches people off guard. And then he comes back with the left, and I mean, it's Ryan. Ryan, he's decent. I'll definitely give him that. And Haney, I knew that if Haney was going to come forward, that Ryan was going to beat him. I thought Haney was going to box him and make it boring, but he didn't. He came at Ryan and tried to mix it up with him in the center of the ring, and I was like, that is not what you want to do against a guy like that. And sure enough, he got clipped. And I was like, oh, snap. So, shocked? I mean, kind of, but I knew Ryan was capable of it, right? So it wasn't a huge shock. Yeah, what was it? The Fit Act or whatever the heck it was. Fit 21, I think they're calling it. Passed today. I posted some of that stuff on my Twitter. It's a pretty good read. I was reading it today, and it's a lot to go through. I'm still not done, but some pretty good information in there. I know there was something in there about how if a certain entity holds a certain amount of crypto, then they could be classified as a security under the SEC's governance, right? So why am I saying this? Well, what does that mean for Ripple, right? A centralized entity. Now, keep in mind, Ripple doesn't necessarily hold the escrow. It's in PolySign, right? But nonetheless, that's still an entity that holds a significant amount of the token in their possession. Half of it, if I'm not mistaken, or close to half of it. So this is why I have always been fascinated by the prospects that maybe that escrow doesn't stay where it's at. Maybe it gets divided up at some point, so that way it can't be classified as security under this new legislation that's being worked on and passed, right? So, and that's one of those questions. If you ask David Schwartz and Brad Garlinghouse about that, they're never going to answer it, right? I don't know what the answer to that question is. They would know way better than me. But with that being said, that escrow's got to go somewhere. And I've been saying that. They don't need to burn it. I think that's retarded. People that were saying burn the escrow for years, I'm like, what is that going to do? The escrow is not even accounted for in the circulating supply for Ripple. Or the open market, I mean, not Ripple. So, like, you'd burn it, and then the price would stay exactly the same. It may even drop a little bit, right? So it's like, I don't know where people got this whole narrative that burn the escrow was the thing to do. Like, that's not the thing to do. And to see the price go up, if they burn the escrow, you'd need to see immediate acquisition and trading volume associated with the asset after the escrow was gone. If that was significant enough, then sure, right? And then you'd have a guarantee that there was never going to be anything that was thrown on the market. But they don't dump it on the market now anyways. Like, I don't know. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. Anthony Joshua gets Fury? Man, I don't know, man. It just depends on what version of Fury we get. Is Fury going to be in there playing around, pitter-patting? And I mean, because Fury can outbox Joshua, right? But if Joshua clips him and hurts him, it's a wrap, And I say it's a wrap because I think the Wilder fights took something out of Fury, a little bit out of him. I don't think he's as durable as he was before. But with that being said, if he goes in there and implements a good strategy and he takes it seriously, and he has a showboat, Fury could damn near beat anyone. But as you saw what he did with Alexander Usyk, he played around too much, man. His defense was off. He didn't. Mark Wilson, You know, you're another one of those guys, right? And here's the thing. I feel bad for you guys who come in here and say some of the stuff you say because it lets me know you have no idea how Ripple's business model truly works. You're in a pro XRP channel. You're obviously subscribed if you're on the live, and you're coming in here to tell people that the asset's a joke. Then hey man, that's fine. Get out of it. Sell it. If you really think, hey, I'm going to implore all of you who think the asset's a joke. You think that the 1 billion a month formula regarding the escrow release, which, it, never mind. Like I said, I'm not even gonna go into that, man, because it's elementary at this point, and I shouldn't have to explain the fundamentals of the escrow to you guys at this point. If that's what you think, sell it, man. Hey, like I said, have at it. Yeah, like I'm not even gonna argue with people, man. That's what people want me to do, right? They don't truly. Man, this lighting is. There we go. They don't truly want to sell the asset, folks. What they want is they want to throw these weird counter narratives out there and rebuttals in hopes that I counter them with something better to make them feel more confident about what they're investing in. But that's not my job, man. You know, my job is simply to give my perspective on what I think it brings to the table, how I think it benefits the current legacy system regarding integration, and what I think it can be used for in the future. I'm not here to convince you if you've convinced yourself that it's a bad investment. I'm not a financial advisor, and even if I were, I'd tell you if you don't agree with the investment, don't invest in it, man. Sell it. Why are you in here complaining about it? Some of you need to grow up, man. Mature a little bit. Yeah, agitative speech. That's exactly what it is. Let me poke, and say bad things so that he could say something even better, right? Because you don't have you. It's a way to hide your fear and lack of confidence, and that's what you see a lot. It's a gaslighting type of technique that a lot of narcissists do when they're not humble enough to put their egos aside and just say, "Hey, man, I'm scared. Is this going to be a good investment? Am I screwing myself here?" They're too prideful to say that. So instead of admitting, and then asking the right questions, they counter argue and say negative things and hyper focus on the bad. When you, with all due respect, man, some of the stuff that these folks are saying is completely retarded. And I'm sorry, I'm not saying you guys are retarded, but if you don't have any idea on how the tech or the fundamentals from a financier's perspective work with this stuff, look, man, all right, I'm not going to sit here and brag and boast about the folks that I've discussed this stuff with on a tech or financier level, but you're not them. You folks coming in here that don't have a clue what you're talking about regarding the escrow and them dumping on the market, dude, stop, all right? Just stop. You're not qualified to, respectfully, you're not qualified to give your opinion on it because you don't even have the fundamentals down or the basics down. All right, let's. No, I'm not gonna call him a joke, right? I'm not gonna. My goal here isn't to put him down. It's just to say, look, man, you need to relax, all right? And I don't want people coming in here and making themselves look stupid, saying off the wall stuff because they're scared, right? Because that's where it's coming from, folks. That's from a place of fear and uncertainty and doubt and, nervousness, man. So is he out of line? Sure, but I know why he's being out of line. So I don't want to put him down. I would just tell you, Mark, do a little bit more homework and research, man. All right? Well, they'll learn eventually, right? They'll learn when legislation gets done and regs get cemented, and you start seeing the institutional go ahead or the green light for them to start acquiring. Yeah, it's going to get interesting. And the folks that had a bunch of negativity to say about the asset, you'll see what happens with them. I'm going to tell you in advance what's going to happen with them. They're going to disappear. Those folks that are coming in here that are literally subscribed to my channel just to come in here and say bad things about some of these assets. And you know what's funny, right? What's even funnier about this is they'll look at XDC, XLM, and HBAR and other utility assets that have high circulating supplies, and you know, they won't say any of this stuff about it, right? You got similar fundamentals between all of the utility assets that have billions in circulating supply, right? Regarding their market fundamentals, and no one complains about any of the other assets. It's only XRP, man. That just tells me people are not, you know, unfortunately, they're not well researched in what they're looking at. Solana ETF, of course, man. That's Solana's a venture capitalist firm's favorite asset. All right, brother. Yeah, the VCs love Solana. Of course, there's going to be a. I'm shocked there's not already a Solana ETF, to be honest. Oh, get out of the way. So yeah, folks, I'm calling JG Wentworth. I want my money now. Chris, what's up, brother? He said price won't slowly go up. It will either move extremely fast, won't matter. Okay, let me read this. Price won't slowly go up. Either it will move really fast, won't matter. If retail sell, it won't bring down the price because VCs will have massive liquidity. Well, and that's the thing, right, guys? So I've always said that the whole flip of the switch narrative, is it possible? Well, the right things have to be done behind the scenes, meaning they already have to have funds allocated, they already have to know what they're going to purchase, and there's got to be that demand, you know, there for them to jump in like that. I'm not saying it can't happen, but if there's already conversations happening behind the scenes about digital assets, and they know what they want to integrate regarding utility for, you know, their organizations, then yeah, you could see something significant, and it wouldn't be slow; it'd be violent, right? Because if they're injecting that capital into the assets, there's no telling how much it's going to flood into some of them, and the ones that are solving real world problems are going to be the ones that likely have a store value narrative attached to it. So you wouldn't just see them buying it to turn around and sell it immediately. They'd be buying it to hold it, and this ties into the acquisition point that we talked about earlier, right? Yeah, Congress is getting busy with crypto regs right now, so it's going down, man. This is what I've been waiting for. This is why I've been, you know, preaching the lawsuit resolution, regulatory clarity, legislation, and classification for digital assets. We're here, right? And the Discord has been on fire with this stuff. Shout out to them. Shout out to Crypto 901, Kurt, Chico, Chris Bennett, Outlaw, Kev, you know, the boys, the Discord. You know, they've been on it. You know, they've been covering these regs and this legislation for quite some time now. And I can tell you right now, the stuff that I've been seeing in the Discord, I'm not even posting it, right? It ain't me. it's the fam in there that's doing their thing and doing their research. You know, and this is why I tell folks, man, right? My goal in doing this content was never to have you guys subservient to me or dependent on me, right? I don't need that, and I don't want that, because number one, I'm not taking your money for it, and that's why, because that wasn't the goal here. The goal was to create a bunch of self-sufficient free thinkers who weren't going to fall to the MSM type narratives out there telling you that this stuff was bad and scaring you out of it, and making you squander potential future wealth, right? That was my only goal. I wanted to build communities that sustained themselves and then built other communities, and that's what happened, right? And that's all I could have asked for. And that's why I always tell you guys think you need me, you don't really need me, unless it's for a pep talk here and there. The goal is for you guys to be self-sufficient and build other communities and conglomerates where you're discussing these things, branching out, doing your own research, and that's exactly what I'm seeing happen, right? The goal was never for me to be here forever. So I'm proud of you guys that are doing that. Of course, I'm not going to ask for money, man. We're in a harsh economic time. Could I use it? You damn right I could use it, but at what cost, man? People will sell their souls for money, bro. They will. They're not going to consider the fact that people want to. And that's the thing. That's the dangerous thing about having people pay you for content right now. People are desperate, man. Right? Look at the questions I get asked about these investments. People are desperate. I could get on here and I'm good enough with words and I'm smart enough. I could really be nefarious, man, and I could deal the best hopium you've ever seen and have folks giving me all sorts of money. But then I got to look at myself in the mirror, man, when I wake up every day, and ask myself, am I proud of that? And some of these folks in the YouTube community are proud of that, right? They'll take your money. They don't care if you're so desperate to hear something that's going to give you hope that maybe you miss your mortgage, maybe you miss your car payment, maybe you miss your rent payment, maybe you don't go get groceries because you're giving super chats to people to give you that dopamine fix and that hopium that you want to hear, right? Well, that ain't me, all right? You guys should be taking your disposable income, and not official financial advice whatsoever, but you should be investing it or saving it, all right? And like I said, that's no slight at people who charge, because I do think that people should be appreciated for the value that they bring. But if you're not bringing value and you're bringing bullshit to the table, you don't deserve to get paid. All right. And if you're doing that to people and you're taking people's money and you don't even know what the hell you're talking about yourself, karma's going to hit you in one form or fashion for doing that, man. All right. So that's all I'm going to say about that. And I heard there's someone out here right now who's gotten caught up, and I ain't gonna name no names. Who, man, like I said, I'm not even gonna name names, man, but it ain't looking good for him. I'll just say that. Another content creator just asked his subscribers to buy 2 months worth of what was that, content or views? I'm telling you, bro, these people out here are shameless, man. You got no dignity as a man doing stuff like that. No shame. Just taking from people, right? Yeah. Folks should be ashamed of themselves doing that, man. No problem, man. Like I said, I'm just doing this for you guys, man. Doing it for all of us. I'm not gonna name any names. The person I'm talking about, no, it's not Hope, but it's someone that a lot of people know. I'll just say that. And like I said, I heard some not so good news about the individual, and I don't wish bad on anyone, but it's just like, man, like this is why. This is why I move the way I move. This is why I am the way I am, man. And some of you in here know who I'm talking about. Yeah, no worries, man. No worries. You don't have to get involved with politics. All right, man, I'm not going to keep you guys long. We covered the topic. Like I said, I wanted to come in here because it was news today regarding the FIT Act being passed. And then, the congressman coming out and saying, all this stuff about how crypto's dangerous because it's going to be the new world reserve currency. And that's what's, being, spread around globally. That's the narrative. And look, like I said, I think crypto will have reserve-like qualities to it, but I don't think it's going to replace a sovereign currency as legal tender. It doesn't mean you won't be able to use it for payments or to spend it in certain ways, but it ain't going to be like you think, right? You're not going to, go into a store in Colombia somewhere or, Thailand and, pull out XRP and pay for your meal. I'm not saying I'm not saying that there won't be use cases like that at some point for certain things, but it's not going to be as exclusive as legal tender, right? Fiat. If that were the case, they wouldn't be creating CBDCs and stable coins. That wouldn't be happening. Look, man, I'm not going to drop his name, but I'll just say this. He's a big content creator. You guys know who he is, and he ain't even on here anymore. From what I've heard, like I said, I don't wish bad on anyone, so I'm not gonna drop his name. I'm not gonna do him like that and kick him while he's down. But man, like I said, word to the wise for anyone creating content, man, be careful, man. Yeah. Yeah, you guys got some crooks out here, bro. Yeah, Ronnie Coleman, man, he is a legend. I used to when I was active duty, I used to hit the gym. I used to watch his stuff and get hyped up, man. Deadlifting 800 plus pounds and you know incline benching 200-pound dumbbells. Like, man, Ronnie was something out of this world, man. And now look, he can't even walk, man. Dude's a legend, man, but at what cost? That's why I stopped ego lifting in my 20s, man. I was like, man, I used to lift heavy too, super heavy. I mean, I was benching 340, squatting about 600. I still got videos of it too, but it got to a point, man, I started injuring myself, man, on a deadlift. I wasn't even deadlifting that much. It couldn't have been any more than 420, somewhere in the 400 range, low 400 range. Man, I'll never forget it. I was in Crunch Fitness and I picked it up and I felt something stretch in my back and then it popped. And I mean, man, I don't know what I did, but it took probably a good 2 months for me to get, and it still hurts, right, in that area. If it's pressed on, like when I go get massages and they put pressure on it, all these years later, and that happened back in like 2016, something like that, 2016. So yeah, you got to be careful, guys. Injuries, getting in there and lifting heavy like that, it's cool, it's impressive, for people to look at, but your body is going to pay the price at some point. That's why I could still lift heavy, but I don't lift that heavy. And I don't go to my max every time I work out. Trini XRP, thank you. I appreciate it. I try, right? Like I said, I'm not right about everything, but I try to do my best, man, to give you guys informed content, man, from that perspective, right? The legal perspective, I ain't good at. I'm not a lawyer, so I can only give my opinion. And I happen to be right about how the XRP lawsuit regarding its security status was going to play out, but the other intricacies, I ain't a lawyer, man. I don't get paid for that, and I'm not a financier, but I'm okay in that realm. But tech is going to be where I shine at. So I just do my best to stay in my lane. Thank you, One Life. I appreciate it. Yeah, I don't deadlift anymore either because of that. I do bent over rows, T-bar rows, seated rows, pull downs, and shrugs. But yeah, I don't deadlift anymore, man. I used to love deadlifting, but now, nuh-uh. Now I don't squat either. I do leg press now instead. Yeah. Well, folks, let me go ahead and get on out of here, man. Thank you guys for tuning in. This guy vacuuming over here. And yeah, like I said, I don't want to keep you guys too long. I want to keep you guys too long in here. Just wanted to touch on a few things because of the congressional activity that we had today, the world reserve currency narrative, and you're going to start hearing this more in congressional rebuttals to crypto. So be ready for it. And that was the whole reason I wanted to come on here and do this video. We got that out of the way. On that note, everybody, stay healthy, stay safe, stay blessed, and I'll catch up with you guys. If there's something noteworthy that's worth putting out, we'll talk about it. Signing out.